When you see one of these, what do you do?
Well, if it's heads up, find a penny, pick it up, and all your day you'll have good luck. And then I put it right in my piggy bank, or in my case, my Mickey bank.
How convenient. How many pennies do you think there are in the United States? We'll tell you, of course, in a few. If you think you know, though, tell us below. And get this, there's so many pennies that it actually is a problem.
I'm gonna guess 3 billion plus or minus 7. The guys who want to be America's next vice president went head to head this week. Governor Tim Walz and Senator J.D. Vance. It was all about policies, talking about the Middle East, climate change, immigration, and more. At some points, it was pretty civil, and they even agreed with each other. Like the presidential debate last month, there was no audience there. They couldn't have prepared notes, but unlike when Harris and Trump met, mics were not muted when it wasn't their turn to speak.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written.
Except for this bit, when the mics were muted because things got a little bit heated.
Senator,
Those
we have
laws
so
have
much, gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
As for the closing statements,
Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. Let's look for a new day where everybody gets that opportunity and everybody gets a chance to thrive.
Vance won a virtual coin toss where he decided to speak last.
We need a president who has already done this once before and did it well. Please vote for Donald Trump.
This was the only debate between the VP candidates, and it's the last scheduled debate before the election on November 5th. Hold up! Make sure you're subscribed to get all the info you need to know as the election gets closer.
The fighting between Israel and Hezbollah has escalated, and now Iran has gotten involved. Let's catch you up. Last week, we told you about increased fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, an armed group in Lebanon. Since then, Israel launched airstrikes in a limited ground invasion into southern Lebanon that killed the leader of Hezbollah and other top officials. In response, Iran launched 180 missiles into Israel on Tuesday and has said their attacks are now over. Israel and Iran do not get along. Iran backs Hezbollah, Hamas, and other armed groups within the Middle East that work together against Israel. They're known as the Axis of Resistance. These groups have been fighting against Israel since just after October 7th. Israel has said they will retaliate for Iran's actions, and the U.S. supports Israel's decision.
As the president has made clear, our support for Israel's security is ironclad. We will continue to stand with the people of Israel at this critical moment.
The increased fighting comes about 2 weeks shy of October 7th, which will mark 1 year since the Hamas-led attack at a music festival in Israel. More than 1,200 people were killed on that day, and over 250 were taken hostage. It's believed that just over 100 hostages still remain in Gaza. Palestinian health officials say that more than 41,000 people have been killed in Gaza since the start of the war. There was hope of a ceasefire deal more than once over the last handful of months, but U.S. officials said that those conversations have stalled.
The terrorist group that Iran funds, Hamas, has been unwilling to come to the table to engage the past several weeks. So yes, it's true that we have not been able to advance these ceasefire talks.
We're watching to see what happens next.
Playoff baseball starts this week, and hopefully this postseason will be just as historic as the year's been. First things first, Shohei Ohtani, the Los Angeles Dodger, on his first year of a monster $700 million contract, is already delivering big. He's the first player to ever hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in a single season. But that wasn't all. He finished with 54 homers and 59 bases. On top of all that, he's still recovering from elbow surgery, so next season, he'll be in the pitching rotation, tearing up the plate both ways. I can't talk about the highs without talking about the lows. And the Chicago White Sox lost a historic 121 games this season. They finished with a 41 and 121 record, meaning they only won on average every fourth game. The last time any team lost 120 games was in 1962, and that was the New York Mets. Some of the lowlights this season, they lost 22 out of the first 25 games they played. They had the most losses at the All-Star break in MLB history, and they tied the American League record for 21 straight losses. That one's got to sting. That being said, the White Sox did have some fun with it. Here are some of the best tweets from the official White Sox X account. Hey, better luck next year, fellas. And one team is trying their luck in a different city entirely. The Oakland Athletics are closing up shop and betting it all in Las Vegas for the future. But they won't be viva-ing in Las Vegas until their new stadium is built, and that includes demolishing the casino and hotel it's replacing. They'll be playing in a minor league stadium in Sacramento for the next 3 years. Whew, what a year, but there is still more baseball to come. Here's who's left chasing the pennant and World Series glory. And as I always say, let's go Phillies!
Remember earlier, I asked you how many pennies are in the United States of America. It is estimated that there are about 240 billion pennies out there. And you said
3 billion, so I was off by 237 billion.
you love a mathematician. That is enough pennies for every man, woman, and child to have about $7.24. And there would still be leftover pennies. The New York Times Magazine called this a penny paradox because most pennies minted are given back as change, but never actually spent. So they end up in jars, pockets, on the street, maybe even in the back of drawers.
Or Mickey's.
Therefore, the pennies don't enter back into circulation, meaning they're never returned back to the US Federal Reserve. That's the part of the US government that manages money. When it's time for the Federal Reserve to count how many pennies exist in the country, they are not able to count the ones in your piggy bank. This issue has led many politicians to suggest abolishing the penny. But what do you all think? Do you even use pennies? Do you have a piggy bank? Let us know in the comments below.
It actually drives pretty good.
If you've been following F1 like I have, then you know Lando Norris. He's the McLaren Formula One driver who brought his team to first place in the Constructors' Championship. But now, Lando's the first driver to ever race bricks.
I feel sorry for whoever had to build it.
The Lego Group and McLaren teamed up to build a full-scale replica of the McLaren P1 sports car. Then they had Norris take it for a spin on one of the most famous tracks in the world, Silverstone in England. The car uses over 340,000 pieces to make up the exterior and can brake 30 miles an hour. I might have enough pieces to build that myself, because it's entirely powered by the same Lego Technic motors you might have at sets at home. Now, I've got one of the little trains I set up at Christmas that goes around the tree, but I'm gonna need a lot more of them because the car weighs over 2,000 pounds. The only parts that weren't from Lego were the steel frame holding it together, and the steering wheel and tires were provided by McLaren.
Your wing mirrors flap a little bit.
The team were a little bit nervous when you ride.
You know, I was still like, oh, I should stay off the curves here.
And if you're wondering why this happened, other than it's awesome, F1 and Lego announced a partnership for the 2025 season next year.
Give me the rhythm, turn the lights on.